I'm also very excited about the new master's degree program in human rights. There are human rights degree programs, including master's degree programs, at a lot of different places, but I think this institution will really bring something new to the table, and that is an understanding of human rights rooted in the deep tradition of thought that takes us back to Athens and to Jerusalem. An approach to human rights that really anchors human rights in truths about the human person and the flourishing of the human person, the goods of the human person. Deep stuff. But if we're going to understand human rights correctly, and if we're going to have a sound basis for affirming and upholding and acting on behalf of human rights, then we need that kind of deep understanding. And then at the risk of embarrassing Bill, I will mention not only that he is my godson, he was received into the Catholic Church after we got to be friends at Harvard, and I had the honor of sponsoring him. But this man, who really should be featured tonight, we should be switching chairs here in a discussion of human rights. This man is genuinely a human rights hero, a person who has literally put his body, put his life on the line, upholding human rights in very dangerous places like the southern Sudan. There's a reason that people like McIntyre and Hauerwas and someone with whom I've debated the question, Joan Lockwood O'Donovan, the British political philosopher, there's a reason that they're wary of the language of rights. Legitimate worry. They're worried that it builds in a kind of individualism. It builds in the liberalism of the atomistic individual sort, the kind of liberalism that celebrates the atomistic individual. I don't want any part of that either. And I can see the concern that if we get so focused on rights that we forget about responsibilities, if we get so focused on rights that we treat rights as fundamental realities as opposed to being principles that protect human goods, that are correlative to duties that we have in virtue of the good of the human person, the flourishing, the welfare of the human person. I get it that we need to worry about that, but I think that we can articulate rights claims in a way, even for the general public, we can articulate it in a way that makes it clear that we're not buying into any kind of radical individualism or radical autonomy view or atomism or anything of the kind, much less selfishness or anything like that. Now, that, I think, imposes a responsibility on people like me and Brother Saunders who do want to do business, in part, in the language of rights. We have a duty to make clear, to find a way to articulate our views in a way that makes clear that we reject that atomism. We reject that kind of liberalism. We reject that kind of individualism, absolutely, for sure. But I think we can do it, and I think if you look at our work, we have done it. And so I particularly want to urge our young people, I want to challenge our young people to think hard about this. Many of you probably have an incoherent position. You've got a kind of meta-ethical view about the nature of truth that can't really support this view that you want to hold on human rights. So if you do want to hold a view on human rights, you need to think more about whether there is a ground, an ethical ground, a moral ground for believing that there's a foundation, there's a truth that's there, an objective truth. I don't think that we will, over the long term, be able to uphold human rights and make progress in the many areas throughout the world, including in our own country, where we need progress on human rights, if people lose their faith in truth. So I think part of the project for those of us who do believe in human rights, seriously believe in human rights, who believe in them not because they're popular, but because we think they're true, part of the challenge for us and our job is to be more effective in making the case. And I don't mean just rhetorically effective. I mean to make the case better, make the stronger case, the strongest possible case for a meta-ethical view that would provide a solid ground for belief in human rights.